Hi, it's me again with some more details on Chapter 18 that are not in the text. This one concerns borders, and I'll title this Weirdness. About borders. You know what's another country that people accuse of not trading very much? Russia. Now, this is an old atlas, so it's called the USSR here. Russia's much smaller than this, of course. But if you think about Russia, could they do an awful lot of trade within their borders without actually crossing their borders? And the answer is yes. The United States suffers from that same problem, if we go over here, that we could be doing a whole bunch of trade inside the country without much actually leaving it. Now, people say, ooh, commerce is different if it crosses an international border and goes over to Canada, okay, but it's just buying and selling stuff, trucking it and bartering it, okay? It's not special because it went to Canada, but a lot of people would say that it somehow is, all right? Now, I talked about the U.S. not actually trading much. That's because most of our country is actually far away from these imaginary lines on the map, which correspond to borders. So I have another map here in the same atlas. Let me turn the page here. And this is a physical map, unfortunately, with state borders on it for the United States. But we live in Utah, so let me take this over here and think about Utah. Okay, and I'll actually go up a bit. Hold this up in the air. This little blue thing here is actually part of my stand for holding the phone most of the time. There, I got it perfect. Okay, imagine trade taking place within the United States like this, okay, and every once in a while crosses a border into Mexico, or every once in a while crosses a border into Canada. And we count it differently, okay? If we go back to that table in the book, it said that something like 90% of U.S. GDP is not related to trade, and only 10% of it is related to trade. Well, duh, that's because we have a lot of space in here where we could conduct 90% of our GDP and only leave the country 10% of the time. This should be a no-brainer that trade is not terribly important to the United States. Now, here's a way to think about this. What if all the states were independent countries? Okay. If that was the case, Utah would probably do some international trade, and who would they do the most of it with? Colorado, Arizona, Nevada, maybe a little to Wyoming and Idaho, okay? We would actually do no trade at all with California because all of our trade with California would have to go through Nevada. We'd have to export to Nevada, which would have to export to California. Then Nevada would have to import from California and then export to us, okay? If we did it that way, we'd get some really weird counting about what counts as international trade and what doesn't. And the thing is, we'd do a lot more international trade if it was crossing these faint pink boundaries instead of these thicker pink boundaries, okay? But what that tells us is not that trade is unimportant or that the United States is weird, but that the whole idea of trade is kind of buggy from the beginning because it's saying these fat pink lines mean something that these thin pink lines really don't. And you know what? Last time I checked at Walmart, you didn't look at where stuff was made, and neither did I. Okay? We don't care about that. What we care about is the products that end up in our hands and whether we can use them or not. Very few people care about whether that product happened across a dark pink line on a map. Okay? What this points out to us is that we should not focus excessively on trade. Okay? It's there. It's not unimportant, but it's no different or more important or less important than anything else. So when you see something like the Trump administration really focused on trade, you should be thinking, that's probably misplaced. Okay? They probably could talk about that less. They could probably talk about things that happen within the country more. Okay? That's enough on that little detail. Thanks. Bye.